This video is to introduce you to the basics of emotional freedom techniques, or EFT, or more commonly referred to as tapping, because we tap points on the body using our fingertips. EFT allows you to reduce and sometimes completely remove the emotional intensity from things past, present, and future. First, I'll show you the basic tapping points and then how to use those points in a sequence called the basic recipe. Now for the basic tapping points. The first point is on the fleshy part on the side of your hand, right below the little finger. With this point, you can tap with the four fingers of the opposite hand, and this can be either hand. And you can start with one side and end on the other. And that goes for all the points that are on both sides of the body. You can tap just one, you can tap both at the same time, you can start on one side, then go to the other. The main thing is that you tap. So that's the side hand point. The next one is on the top of your head. So if you find the top of your ears and you trace a vertical line all the way to the top of your head, where those lines meet is where there's that point right on the center line. And with this one, you can just tap with the four fingers like that. And again, it can be either hand, it doesn't matter. The next point is the eyebrow point. So this is where your eyebrow meets your nose, right on that ridge right there. And here you can just tap with two fingers. If you follow that bone around, you come to the side of the eye point. Now, this point, it's not on the temple and it's not on the actual eye. It's just on that bony ridge right there. And again, you can tap with two fingers. If you follow that bone down till it's in line with your pupil, now just like the side of the eye point, this one, it's not on the cheek and it's not on the actual eye. It's just on the bone right there. And you can tap with two fingers. Then you have under the nose point. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Then you have the chin point. Now this one, it's not on the chin, it's on the crease between your lower lip and your chin. And you can just tap with two fingers there. Then you have the collarbone point. So to find this one, if you find that little U at the base of your neck, which is roughly where the knot of the tie would be, and you go down about an inch and to either side about an inch, you've got both those points there. Now, seeing as these can be a little tricky to find the exact location, you can just take your whole hand and tap both of those at the same time. And the final point is under the arm, and that's about 4 inches below your armpit, and you can just tap with four fingers right there. If you're a woman, that's roughly in line with your bra strap. So those are the main points, and you want to tap each point about 7 times. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's just the rough number we're going for. And the pressure with which you want to tap is roughly the same amount of pressure that you would use if you were drumming your fingers on a table or if you were tapping someone on the shoulder to get their attention. Now I'll cover the basic recipe, which uses those points we just covered. Now, a good thing to keep in mind while tapping is that it works best when we're really specific and address things in bite-sized pieces. So for example, let's say that I was feeling really stressed. I'll then think, well, what is causing you so much stress? And I might think, well, it's because I got an email. Then I'll get even more specific and think, well, what about that email was so stressful? And maybe the thing that stressed me the most about the email was that it said, you need to get this done in the next 6 hours. And that was really the core of the stress. I would just focus on that, at least to begin with. So once you have something specific, then see if you can feel the emotional intensity of what you're dealing with anywhere in your body. So that might be a tightness across your chest. It might be a heaviness on your shoulders. Maybe it's a pit in your stomach. It can be anything. And the idea is just to tune into that and be present in your body. So let's say when I think about this email, I feel some tension across my chest when I remember those specific words of you need to get this done in the next 6 hours. The next thing to do is to rate the intensity on a 0 to 10 scale, where 0 is no intensity at all, and 10 is the most intensity you could feel. And the reason for this is to see at the end if there has been a change. So let's say when I think about this email and saying you need to get it done in the next 6 hours, I feel that tension in my chest, and it's about a 7 out of 10. Once you have that, then you move on to what's known as the setup statement. And this is where you state the problem, followed by I deeply and completely accept myself, while tapping the side of hand point. And you're going to say that statement 3 times. Now, tapping these points, it sends a calming signal to the brain and body. You're essentially saying, I'm okay now, I'm safe. And that reduces the stress. And when done correctly, it's a lasting change. And so that's one of the massive benefits of tapping. And when we say, I deeply and completely accept myself, that is helpful because it changes how we see the problem, right? We tend to think that if I accept myself, then I'll never change. But a psychologist named Carl Rogers, he pointed out, and I'll quote him, he said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And in doing this work, I've found this to be very true. Once you've done the setup statement 3 times, the next thing is to tap through the points using what's known as a reminder phrase at each point. And the reminder phrase is just to briefly state the problem or how you feel about the problem at each point. So it might be something like this email, this stress I feel in my chest, this tension I feel in my chest, this email that said you need to get it done in the next 6 hours. You need to get this done in the next 6 hours. You need to get this done in the next 6 hours. This stress in my chest. And so that would be going through the points. And then after doing that, I would take a moment, take a breath if I felt like it, and just check the intensity on the 0 to 10 scale to see if there'd been any change. And so let's say that now when I think about it, it's no longer what it used to be, which was a 7 out of 10, I think I said. Now it's just a 3 out of 10. So then what I would simply do is another round of tapping, just focusing on what is remaining. And I would adjust the statement for any changes that might have happened. So maybe I no longer feel the tension in my chest. Maybe now it's a pit in my stomach. So then I would simply change it to, even though I feel this pit in my stomach, when I think about the email saying you need to get it done in the next 6 hours, I deeply and completely accept myself. And you just go through the process doing that and keep adjusting until the intensity is a 0 or a very low number. Now I'll show you a whole round of tapping without the explanations in between. So I'll take the same example that I started with, which is getting this email that stressed me out where it said you have to get this done in the next 6 hours. And when I think about that, I feel this stress, this tension, let's say, across my chest at a 7 out of 10. So this is what a single round of tapping would look like for that. Even though I feel this tension across my chest, when I think about that email and how it said you need to get this done in the next 6 hours, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though it said you need to get this done in the next 6 hours, and I feel this tension across my chest, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though it said you need to get this done in the next 6 hours, and I feel this tension across my chest just thinking about that, I deeply and completely accept myself. This tension across my chest. You need to get this done in the next 6 hours. In the next 6 hours, you need to get this done. I feel this tension across my chest. You need to get this done in the next 6 hours. You need to get this done in the next 6 hours. This tension in my chest. Just a few other things to be aware of. Firstly, is that your intensity can go up before coming back down. One of the reasons for this can be because we're tuning into that distress, and so that's perfectly normal. It can also sometimes be because the problem is bigger than we realize. There's more to it. And so if you're finding the intensity keeps going up, I'd recommend finding a skilled EFT practitioner to work with. The second thing is that one of the biggest mistakes is being too general, right? Trying to tap on things like, even though things at work are stressful, or even though James annoys me. You really want to get more specific than that. For example, think about what exactly at work is stressful. What does James do or say that is annoying? When was the last time that James annoyed you? However, if someone has just experienced something distressing, or maybe you're experiencing something distressing right now, like let's say someone just shouted at you and you feel very rattled, you might not be in the headspace to find something specific, to do a setup statement, to feel exactly where it is in your body, to rate the intensity and use all those elements. The most important thing is to just tap through the points. Just by tapping these points, if you're experiencing something distressing, you're sending that calming signal, and that's going to regulate your nervous system. So those are just a few things to keep in mind, and just see how you go with tapping.